Dr. Valerie Moore promised attendees life-changing breakthroughs. But what if the Back 2 Acts conference was all smoke and mirrors? And with names like Juanita Bynum and Brandon Jacobs attached, the fallout has left hundreds questioning everything. Today, we're diving into one of the most shocking controversies in the faith and empowerment world. Dr. Valerie Moore's Back to Acts conference, promoted as a transformative, life-changing event featuring high-profile speakers like Juanita Bynum and Brandon Jacobs, it instead left attendees frustrated, confused, and some claiming they were scammed out of hundreds, even thousands of dollars. In this video, you're going to see exactly what happened at the conference, hear firsthand accounts from attendees, and uncover the inconsistencies and questionable practices that sparked outrage online. We'll break down the key players, the promises made versus reality, and the aftermath that's still shaking the community today. And here's where it gets surprising. Some of the most respected voices in the spiritual and motivational arena were implicated, whether knowingly or unknowingly, raising serious questions about accountability, trust, and transparency. By the end, you'll understand why this event has become a cautionary tale and why it has the internet buzzing. The Back 2 Acts conference was billed as a spiritual and personal breakthrough event, the kind of gathering that promised attendees clarity, healing, financial empowerment, and even life transformations you can't experience anywhere else. Dr. Valerie Moore, a recognized motivational speaker and spiritual coach, positioned herself as the guide who would help people reclaim their power and purpose. And she didn't stop there. Juanita Bynum, a longtime inspirational speaker with a massive following, and Brandon Jacobs, another prominent voice in the faith-based coaching world, were featured as marquee names, drawing even more attention. With social media posts, email campaigns, and influencer shoutouts, the conference created a buzz that many described as unmissable. Tickets were pricey, ranging from several hundred to thousands of dollars for VIP access, private sessions, and exclusive workshops. Attendees were promised intimate interactions with the speakers, one-on-one guidance, and actionable strategies to transform their careers, relationships, and spiritual lives. For weeks leading up to the event, people shared their excitement online. Hashtags were trending, Instagram posts showcased packed booking links, and stories of people traveling across states to attend painted the conference as the event of the year. From the outside, it looked like an opportunity that could not be missed. But here's where everything begins to shift. When attendees arrived, the experience reportedly did not match. The marketing workshops started late, some promised sessions were canceled without notice, and VIP perks were either delayed or never delivered. Attendees reported feeling disoriented, frustrated, and in some cases, misled. What should have been a structured, empowering experience turned into confusion and disappointment. Even more concerning, social media posts began to emerge with attendees questioning refunds, transparency, and the true intentions behind the conference. Screenshots of emails, contradictory schedules, and long lines at check-ins circulated online, fueling speculation that the event may have been more about appearances than actual guidance. And this is where the first real cliffhanger emerges. While some attendees described moments of inspiration, others were convinced that the event was misleading at best and a full-on scam at worst. What really caused the uproar at the Back 2 Acts conference wasn't just delays or missing workshops. It was the patterns of inconsistency and questionable practices that attendees started noticing as the event unfolded. Several participants reported that the promised VIP experiences, including private meet and greets with Juanita Bynum and Brandon Jacobs, were either shortened or completely canceled. Attendees who had paid thousands for premium access described long waits, unclear instructions, and last-minute schedule changes. In many cases, what was marketed as exclusive ended up being a crowded room with little engagement from the speakers themselves. Even worse, some attendees said that workshops were heavy on hype and light on substance. While Dr. Valerie Moore and the speakers delivered inspirational talks, the sessions often lacked the actionable advice or clear guidance that had been advertised. Instead, people reported repetitive messages, generic motivational statements, and exercises that felt rushed or disorganized. Then there were financial discrepancies. Numerous screenshots and posts circulated online, showing attendees asking for refunds or clarification on extra charges. Some VIP packages included bonus coaching sessions or personalized guidance, but follow-ups were delayed indefinitely. Certain participants claimed that their emails and messages were ignored, leaving them frustrated and feeling misled. Social media became the courtroom of public opinion. Hashtags like hashtag back2acts, scam, and hashtag whereismyrefund trended as attendees shared their experiences. Videos went viral, showing long lines at registration, empty rooms for advertised sessions, and attendees expressing their disappointment directly on camera. And here's the critical part. It wasn't just the attendees reacting. Some minor influencers who were invited to promote the conference publicly questioned what was happening. They described a disconnect between marketing and reality, and even hinted that certain promotional materials exaggerated the conference's offerings. Despite the growing backlash, Dr. Valerie Moore and the main speakers did not immediately respond to criticism, which only fueled speculation. Silence in the face of outrage is often interpreted as guilt, and many observers wondered whether the event was genuinely mismanaged, or if there were intentional oversights designed to maximize profit. But this is where everything changes. Some insiders began leaking behind-the-scenes information, suggesting that the problems weren't random mistakes, but part of a larger pattern of organizing events that overpromise and underdeliver. These claims added fuel to the fire, and suddenly the conversation was no longer just about disappointment. It was about potential exploitation. And yet, despite all of this, certain attendees defended the conference. They described moments of personal insight, networking opportunities, and inspirational talks that left a genuine impact. This divide created a heated debate online, one that polarized audiences and made it difficult for outsiders to separate fact from hype, disappointment from genuine experience. By the end of the weekend, the Back2Acts conference had evolved from a celebrated event to a case study in controversy, leaving organizers scrambling and attendees questioning whether their investment in both time and money had been worth it. And just when it seemed the story had peaked, a new development emerged that would make the fallout even more dramatic. Once the Back2Acts conference ended, the conversation exploded. Online social media became a storm of first-hand accounts, viral videos, and heated debates about what really happened. Attendees took to X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, sharing everything from screenshots of email exchanges to clips from the event itself. Some attendees posted videos describing the chaos at registration, long lines, missing staff, and confusion about VIP access. Others highlighted workshops that were either canceled or poorly executed, and the common thread was frustration. People questioned whether the conference was truly organized for transformation or if it was more about appearances and profit. This is where Juanita Bynum and Brandon Jacobs came into focus. Both are respected figures in the motivational and faith-based speaking world, and their involvement lent credibility to the event. But many online discussions began asking the hard questions. Did they know what they were stepping into? Were they aware of the logistical chaos? Or did they unknowingly become part of a mismanaged or possibly exploitative situation? Juanita Bynum, known for her passionate preaching and spiritual guidance, remained largely silent. Her official social media accounts posted positive images from the event, but there was little acknowledgement of the widespread complaints. Brandon Jacobs also maintained a professional facade online, posting photos and highlights, yet avoiding direct comment on the criticism. The contrast between attendees' frustrations and the polished social media posts of the speakers created tension. Fans and critics alike debated whether silence implied negligence, complicity, or simply strategic public relations. Every post, story, or tweet from either speaker was analyzed for hidden meaning, with some people interpreting even neutral content as damage control. And the public reaction didn't stop there. Influencers and minor media outlets began creating videos breaking down the conference, sometimes criticizing the organizers harshly. They pointed out discrepancies between what was advertised and what actually occurred. Headlines used words like scam, bait and switch, and disappointment, which further fueled the controversy. Meanwhile, attendees shared more personal stories. Emotional moments they experienced during the sessions contrasted with the chaos around them. Some described the spiritual insights and motivation they gained, while others felt let down, misled, or even financially exploited. These conflicting narratives made the online discussion incredibly complex. It wasn't just about being disappointed. It was about trust, accountability, and the high stakes of celebrity-endorsed events. The viral nature of the controversy also brought attention to Dr. Valerie Moore's previous conferences and events. Some online sleuths dug up patterns suggesting that issues with organization and unfulfilled promises weren't isolated incidents. This intensified scrutiny and added another layer of suspicion, making it seem like the Back 2 Acts conference was part of a much bigger discussion about ethics and professionalism in the industry. And here's the first major cliffhanger. While social media was ablaze with criticism, some insiders hinted that there were private conversations happening behind the scenes, apologies being drafted, promises to fix issues, and even legal consultations. But nothing was public yet, leaving attendees and fans in suspense, unsure whether the controversy would escalate further or quietly fade. By the end of this social media storm, the Back 2 Acts conference had transformed from a spiritual event into a viral controversy, forcing everyone involved to reckon with the power of online accountability, audience expectation, and the fragile trust between speakers and attendees. And just when it seemed like the story had reached its peak online, a shocking twist emerged that would push the conversation even further. As the online controversy swelled, more attention turned to what was happening behind the scenes at the Back 2 Acts conference. Insiders, event staff, and former collaborators began speaking out, some anonymously, some on camera, painting a picture that added layers of complexity to what initially seemed like logistical mismanagement. Several staff members reportedly described confusing directives and last-minute changes that made it nearly impossible to execute the conference, as advertised workshops were scheduled without enough facilitators, VIP sessions were oversold, and some materials promised to attendees didn't even arrive. According to these insiders, it wasn't a matter of neglect. It was poor planning compounded by over-promising on promotional materials. Then there were the financial discrepancies. Sources revealed that packages labeled premium access or exclusive coaching were bundled in ways that created misunderstandings about what attendees were actually purchasing. In some cases, the added fees weren't clearly explained until the day of the event, leaving attendees feeling trapped between paying more or missing key experiences. The insider accounts also addressed the high-profile speakers. Juanita Bynum and Brandon Jacobs were reportedly unaware of many of the operational issues. Staff described moments where they attempted to communicate problems, but miscommunication or hierarchical gaps prevented timely resolution. This raised questions online about whether the speakers were responsible for the chaos or if they were inadvertently associated with a mismanaged event. Adding fuel to the fire, some insiders hinted at a recurring pattern in Dr. Valerie Moore's events. While past conferences had generally received positive reviews, a few previous gatherings also showed signs of overpromising and under-delivering, something that online critics quickly latched onto. The narrative began to shift. This wasn't just one poorly run conference. It might indicate a pattern of organizational challenges that could affect attendee trust. And yet, despite these revelations, there were defenders. Many people emphasized the positive aspects of the conference, the motivational talks, the moments of personal breakthrough, and the networking opportunities that some attendees found genuinely valuable. These voices reminded the public that while organizational flaws existed, the event still impacted people in meaningful ways. But here's where everything gets dramatic. As the insider stories emerged, social media platforms began amplifying allegations of intentional deception. Rumors of scam tactics spread quickly, with people claiming that the event was designed more for profit than transformation. Even though no definitive proof of deliberate wrongdoing surfaced, the perception alone caused reputational damage for everyone involved. And here's the first major cliffhanger. While insiders continued to leak details and attendees continued to share grievances online, official responses remained scarce. Neither Dr. Valerie Moore nor the high-profile speakers issued detailed explanations. The lack of transparency only made speculation worse, leaving the public wondering whether accountability would ever arrive, or if the controversy would quietly fade without resolution. After the dust settled on the Back 2 Acts conference, the fallout continued to ripple across social media, industry forums, and attendee communities. By now, the story had transformed from a disappointing event into a full-blown controversy that raised serious questions about accountability in faith-based and motivational conferences. Many attendees who had voiced frustration online reported delays or outright refusals in receiving refunds, particularly for VIP packages that promised one-on-one coaching or exclusive experiences. Screenshots of email chains circulated widely, showing long periods of unanswered messages, automated replies, and requests for clarification that went unresolved. These unresolved issues added fuel to the narrative that the event may have been more about revenue than actual transformation. Meanwhile, Dr. Valerie Moore and her team remained largely silent in public forums. Their limited responses, brief social media posts thanking attendees for joining the journey, failed to address the core concerns. Silence in this context was interpreted by many as a lack of accountability, causing both public outrage and intense speculation about the intentions behind the event. Juanita Bynum and Brandon Jacobs, though not accused of intentional wrongdoing, also felt the ripple effects. Their reputations were tied to the event, and online critics questioned whether they had properly vetted the conference before associating their names with it. Even though both speakers maintained a professional stance, the association alone caused reputational scrutiny that would linger long after the event ended. Beyond finances and reputation, there were larger lessons about transparency and trust. Many commentators emphasized that the conference illustrated the risks of overpromising in highly marketed events. Attendees invest not only money, but also emotional energy, faith, and expectations. When those expectations aren't met, whether due to mismanagement or genuine oversight, the backlash can be swift and severe. Interestingly, the controversy sparked conversations within the motivational and faith-based communities about ethics, honesty, and the responsibility of public figures. Some industry insiders argued that high-profile speakers should conduct thorough audits and ensure their events are well organized before attaching their names. Others focused on attendee responsibility, noting the importance of researching events, understanding refund policies, and critically evaluating bold promises. Despite the criticisms, there were also attendees who spoke positively about moments of inspiration. Networking, personal insights, and spiritual reflection were cited as benefits. This split in experience highlighted a key reality. Perception is as influential as fact. One person's breakthrough is another person's disappointment, and social media amplifies both extremes simultaneously.